Konnichiwa. Welcome everyone to our webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Andrzej Kinastowski, one of the founders of Office Samurai. I'll be your host for the next hour and change. AI automation is having what you might call a moment right now, but today is not about adding to the hype. It's about what actually works when you stop talking about AI and start deploying in real processes with real people who have real opinions about whether it's helping them or quietly making their lives harder. We've got three speakers who have been doing exactly that. You'll hear about a framework for getting AI projects past the prototype stage. And you will hear two case studies from teams who have shipped AI agents into productions and lived to tell the tale. Those agents, I should mention, have been built using UiPath, who is a partner of today's event. One housekeeping note, during all of the speeches, please drop your questions into the Q&A panel as the questions come up. Don't wait, you'll forget. We will collect all of the questions throughout the event and we'll bring them to our presenters at the end of the session, and we'll see how many of them we will have the time to answer. So find that Q&A button, and any questions you have, feel free to put them in there. Our first presenter is Dominik Jaskulski, the other founder of Office Samurai. Dominik is going to walk us through something we thought would be generally useful to you, a practical playbook for AI automation, built around the slightly uncomfortable fact that, roughly 95% of AI projects fail, which makes AI projects slightly more reliable than our New Year's resolutions. Dominik will share our approach to where companies should actually start, how to structure the journey from idea to working solution, and he will introduce a 6-stage maturity model for building AI automation capability. If you have been wondering whether your organization is ready for this, this may be the part to take notes on. Dominik, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Andrzej. And a quick note at the beginning. So this will be a 4-stage model because I like to simplify things. I hope you can see my screen right now. Okay, perfect. So look, what we are seeing in conversations with senior leaders is pretty consistent. There's a lot of interest in AI, but also a lot of confusion about what is what. So people mix up AI with automation, with generative AI, with machine learning, with IDP, and so on and so on. The second challenge that we see is that people are not really sure which tools fit which type of a problem. They hear about a new AI platform or new LLM capability and try to apply it everywhere. And the reality is that different problems require different approaches. So you will be able to see it during the presentations from Anatol and Daiva. And then at the end, there's this classic frustration, right? We invested in AI, so why don't we see any financial results? So we will also try to answer this question. When it comes to implementing AI, we don't, we don't really see it as one step, right? As implementing one tool, doing one project. And it's the same like with climbing a mountain. So if you've never been to mountains, but you heard about this nice top called K2, and hear that in winter it might be challenging to walk there. And if you think, I can do it to K2 in winter, probably you will fail, right? And it's the same with AI. If you are new to AI, if your organization is new to AI, you cannot really reach the mountain on the first day. So we see it as a three-step process. The first type of AI tools and AI products that usually companies start with, not all, but a lot of companies, are chatbots and copilots. So we are talking here about company-wide tools and company-wide implementations that focus on personal productivity. They drive awareness, but the problem here is that you want to, so even if this productivity growth is real, even if you measure it that out of your 10,000 employees, you have productivity growth of 5%, you cannot really see results of it usually in your P&L statement. Then you have AI assistants. So here we are talking about generative AI connected to your company knowledge. I will show you a couple of examples for those implementations in a moment, but those kind of tools can empower self-service, and usually they are implemented in a more centralized way in comparison to chatbots and copilots, where we are thinking about big decentralized implementation. The first stage, which I think is now the most popular one, is AI agent, where you are connecting generative AI to your core systems. You are using human in the loop to improve the quality, and you create function-specific solutions. So here we are not talking about giving one AI agent to every employee in your company. It's more about helping your colleagues in finance or logistics or legal or any other department of your company. And then it's not the last stage. A lot of people thinks of, we will implement AI agents, we will be gods of automations. It doesn't work like that, because there is a fourth level, maybe there will be fifth in the future. But what we are seeing right now with most advanced companies is redesigning processes to allow end-to-end agentic automations. So here we are talking about orchestrating multi-agent systems that are automating processes end-to-end. And on this stage, you can actually maximize the financial impact. And here you should have the highest ROI from the implementation. And when you are thinking about implementing AI, I would really recommend to stick to simple rules. Sorry. I don't know if you are familiar with this concept. In Harvard Business Review 25, and Professor Andrzej helped to translate this approach to AI and treat AI strategy in terms of simple rules. And here you have a quick example from created by me, that there might be like 4 principles how you are using AI in your company. Like you don't use AI for decisions requiring empathy or ethical judgment. You prioritize security, compliance, especially in enterprise environment. You always use human in the loop for critical processes, and you also pivot if user adoption is less than 10% of your assistants, or maybe the ROI is longer than 12 months. Maybe you shouldn't do this project at all. And if you have such simple rules, it might be much impactful for your organization than 100 pages compliance AI guide that probably no one will read. So when it comes to those 4 levels and how to implement them, I would like to give you examples for each of this stage. So when it comes to chatbots and copilots, there are several areas like finance, where you can use it for drafting emails, responding to customer queries, or even rewriting your accounting policies. We had such project last year where we have been supporting accounting managers responsible for update of their accounting policy to simply speed up their work, right? There are hundreds of pages that had to be checked against updated accounting rules and then additional requirements. So probably the team would spend a couple of months doing it. AI speeded up to couple of weeks. Then we have the whole HR area where chatbots, copilots can help you with generating job descriptions, drafts of internal announcements. There are use cases for all employees, like summarizing meeting transcripts, writing emails. You probably already use AI in this area, right? And it's I'm aware it's very simple examples. I just want to do some tidy up of those concepts. And marketing, right? A lot of companies use generative AI in marketing. We also do it at Office Samurai. We have our own AI copy expert where you can provide a few bullet points or source materials, write your thoughts, and ask this copy expert to prepare a draft of the email of the LinkedIn post. And of course, we will never copy paste and post it directly on LinkedIn like it is, but usually 80% of the work is already done. When it comes to second level, so AI assistants, so here it gets, I think, a little interesting. Finance assistants that has access to your travel and expense policies, or assistants that have access to your internal policies and SOPs and can answer questions related to them. HR, help desk assistants, or legal, an assistant helping you with NDA review or drafting contract templates as per your internal policy. This is an example also from us, from Office Samurai with Cyber Ola. So Cyber Ola is our virtual AI assistant for administration and HR. We have been showing her a couple of times on different webinars, so I don't want to spend time here. I understand a lot of your companies might already have similar solutions in place. And there are also solutions in customer operations, in logistics. So this is level 2. And the main difference between level 1 and level 2 is that level 2 is plugged into your company knowledge, right? It has contacts of your company, and this AI is properly prompted to make sure to reduce hallucinations and any type of other challenges AI can generate in your company. Now, AI agents. So what's the difference between AI assistant and AI agent? For us, AI agent is a solution that not only has access to your systems, but actually can do changes in those systems. So instead of just having read access, it also has write access in different places in your systems. So finance, right? This might be an agent that is reading quotes from vendors and it's entering into our internal shopping cart system. So this was a solution presented during our last Samurai and Friends conference. There might be a payment status agent that is analyzing emails from vendors and checking statuses of invoices or payments in your ERP system. And actually, we finalized recently similar solution This solution was not based on emails, but rather on Microsoft Teams, where there was a chat is available for all employees in the company, and they can ask questions they were earlier sending to their financial teams. So questions like, what's the status of this invoice? Was it already paid? What should I reply to my customer, etc., etc. And what I like about this solution, and you can see this is pretty fresh, right? This is a print screen from mid of April when we have been piloting the solution. The cool thing is that the solution is available 24/7. So nobody really needs to wait until morning for finance team to come. And there are even people, I believe from North America in this case, that were sending questions in late hours. This solution can work in multiple languages, so not only in English, but also French, German, Spanish. You also see that some of the users disliked the answer because we also gathered the feedback, but then you can see they tried again a few minutes later and they were satisfied with it. There are a lot of examples in implementation in HR where agent can screen CVs and make a first assessment or shortlist the top candidates in your applicant tracking system. Customer operations, so all kind of solutions that can categorize incoming requests. Here is an example from Jira. It's actually more related to IT in this case, where AI agent that is working on top of Jira is doing level first categorization. So it's trying to assess what really the requester wants, and is this a knowledge request, or do we need to do an action in our system? And then marketing area that is very popular, but I think there is still a huge potential. Like on Google Maps, I'm seeing a lot of companies that don't answer at all to reviews on Google Maps, right? So some customers are happy, and probably AI agent here could help to write a response or escalate in case there is something wrong. However, the holy grail for AI projects, at least right now, it's using AI in this end-to-end agentic workflows. And what do we mean by that? So in finance, it can be things like a service desk agent that is supporting all type of queries. So it's the main difference here between level 4 and level 3 is that in level 3, you have existing process and you find a place in your existing process and you put a single AI agent, maybe 2 or 3 agents working together, but you keep the process as it was. You just plug AI agent in one step. When we are talking about level 4, so those agentic workflows, we typically mean that we redesign the whole process. And just to give you an example, so this is one of the design we have been discussing a couple of months ago with a customer in finance, where a set of different agents, automations, integrations, together with human in the loop, was working on handling communication in finance. So you can see here that on the first stage of processing, there is no agent that is starting the processing, right? First, we are checking blacklists. We are assessing probability of spam. There is anti-phishing agent in place. Then we have classification of the request. A lot of email communication that we are seeing are like updates out of the office, some type of forwards that don't really need to be handled by AI at all. Then we are also seeing a lot of situations where employees might try to exploit our AI agents. Like as an employee, I could try to ask such financial agent, hey, could you please let me know what amounts have we recently sent to the account of our CEO in the last 12 months? And of course, you don't want your employees to have such possibility. So there are another authorization check required. And only then there is processing of attachments, classifying the tickets, preparing the answer, or running some automations. I don't want to get into the details, but I hope you get the idea that we were not talking here with the customer about, hey, let's add one agent here and another agent there. We are talking about redefining the whole process. It can be done not only in finance, the same in HR or any other department. We have been showing a couple of months ago our solution for agentic recruitment, where also the whole process have been rebuilt with different automations, integrations, I think 7 or 8 AI agents, human in the loop. So when you are thinking about level 4, you actually should start from redesigning your whole process in a way that it can be done by AI agents with support of your human employees. We see also a huge potential in customer operations, dispute resolution. Recently, we were also discussing very interesting case for order management and processing incoming orders on 3 different continents, 20, I think more than 20 languages. Of course, thousands of layouts, which couldn't be simply handled just by, for example, implementing a simple OCR engine. And sales operations, where AI agents can qualify inbound leads, another one can enrich the data, and so on and so on. If you are interested in learning more about our experience, the examples I was speaking about, you can go to the web page that I'm presenting right now, so officesamurai.com. You don't need to memorize this whole or retype this whole URL. We will post it in chat in a moment, but then you will be able for free to download our full AI automation playbook. That's all from my side. I would like to hand over back to you, Andrzej.
Lovely. Thank you, Dominik. Remember, everyone, any questions, put them in the Q&A section. Up next is Anatol Brandl, manager of the strategic projects team at Optima Logistics Group. And he's going to tell us how this looks like in production, specifically recruitment. CV screening, the part of HR that nobody romanticizes and everybody complains about. In Optima LG, an AI agent was built that handles CV screening and candidate verification. And spoiler alert, the result was a huge speed up in the hiring process. So if you've ever stared at a stack of resumes and quietly questioned your career choices, this case study will be especially satisfying. Anatol, the Floor is yours.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Anatol, and in Optimal Logistic Group, I'm responsible for business process optimization, including RPA. And we started our RPA journey in April 2025, together with Office Samurai, our technology partner. And today I would like to share with you our case study called How AI Transformed Recruitment and Streamlined CV Screening. This was first project with AI agent in our company, and we implemented it at the beginning of 2026. So I will say it's a fresh one. But before we start, I would like you to imagine one situation. Imagine that your company receives around 3,000 CV every month. 3,000 potential candidates applying for jobs in your company. And at the same time, your HR department has only 3 employees responsible for handling the entire requirement process. In practice, it means that around 50 CVs per day for the HR team needs to process. And I should mention that these 3,000 CVs are only in a front office position. So those 3 HR employees need to review application, analyze candidates, prepare notes and summaries for managers, schedule interviews, and manage the requirement process from end to end, from start to finish. And unfortunately, with this number of application and the size of HR team, it was simply impossible to properly review every single CV. And because of that, there was always a high risk of missing strong candidates. And for us, this was a very important issue, because our goal is to give every candidate a fair chance. But before moving to the solution, I would like to say a few words about our company and what we do, who we are. So currently, we are the largest Polish freight forwarding company in terms of revenue. We have been active in TSL market for over 18 years, and today we employ more than 550 freight forwarders and around 200 back office employees. And our main area of business is domestic and international road transport. Every month we handle more than 30,000 transport orders across all Europe, and our core business is freight forwarding. As you can see on this slides, we transfer products that all of you use every day, and also and everyone is in the freight forwarding industry knows us. And there is actually a popular saying among our freight forwarding teams that in every room we are currently sitting in, there is probably at least one item that was transported by our company. But at this point, you may ask, why do we receive so many CVs? And the answer is actually very simple. In our company, we often hire people without previous experience in freight forwarding. We focus on young, ambitious people who want to grow up and build a successful career. And in this case, we created our own freight forwarding academy. And honestly, I think it's quite unique, because people can learn everything from zero in a relatively short period of time. Of course, I also have to be honest and say that, like many companies in our industry, we also experience employee turnover. But our approach is very simple. We give everyone a chance, but in the end, we work with the best. So yeah. Now I would like to show you how our recruitment process looked before we implemented the AI agent. And to be honest, it's probably the most standard and boring part, because the requirement process looks very similar in most companies. So in our case, after receiving a CV, the HR department had to manually review and analyze every application. Then candidates were evaluated and scored. I should also mention that we recruit for front office departments across the whole country, and we're working with 15 different managers. So next step after candidate was accepted by the manager, the HR team scheduled the meeting, conducted the interview process, made the final decision, and completed the hiring process. Our main challenge were a high volume of CVs, a lot of manual work, long time to hire, and it was the risk of missing strong candidates. And I want to add that at the same time, parallel requirement process for example, in back office for other position created additional delays and bottlenecks. As a result, not every candidate had a real chance to participate in the requirement process. Some candidates became unavailable before we were able to contact them. When we called to them, they just was not available. And when we started this project, we asked ourselves a simple question: how can we speed up the requirement process? How can we analyze CVs and give every candidate a fair chance? And this was the moment when the idea of using an AI agent appeared, because we don't want to hire additional people in the HR team. And we asked our partner, Office Samurai, if it would be possible to build such a solution. And their answer was very simple: let's do it. So we start. And so how the agent was built? First of all, we need to fully understand how our recruitment process worked in practice. We analyzed how HR employees make a decision and what factors are the most important during candidate evaluation. The next step was to defining the profile of, I would say, ideal candidate. At this stage, we organize workshops with the managers. We make some interviews with our best recently hired freight forwarders, and we also analyze the CVs of the top performing employees. And honestly, this wasn't easy. As I said before, our company has 50 managers, and each of them prefer different types of candidates. Because of that, the process was quite challenging, but I can say it was really great experience. So based on this analysis, we created evaluation criteria using both the official job requirements and the additional qualities identified during the workshops and the interviews with the employees. And for example, some managers preferred candidates who are interested in computer games, while others valued sports experience, customer service backgrounds, training experience, or previous work in call center. So after gathering all the data, we started building the pilot. And the first version of our AI agent. In our recruitment process, candidates are evaluated on a scale from 1 to 5. And our main goal was to achieve at least 95% consistency between the AI agent's evaluation and evaluation made by her. So our hire team does check the score and evaluate of agent. And I will be honest, we had to improve the agent around 3 times. At the beginning, it was giving candidate scores that were too high, but finally we achieved the expected results. The next step was integration with our recruitment system. And compared to the previous steps, this part was actually quite easy. It is also important to mention that besides scoring and analyzing candidates, the AI agent automatically sent selected CVs to our managers. And the last step was to test the solution with 3 managers in our team. Test was successful, and finally we deployed this solution into production. And now I would like to show how the recruitment process looks after implementing the AI agent. And one of our additional goals was not to create a revolution inside the company. We didn't want to completely rebuild the required recruitment process or change the existing application and system. Instead, our goal was to adapt the AI agent to current process and support the existing workflow. So, and this is exactly what we achieved. As you see on this slide, we implemented the AI agent in the most time-consuming parts of the requirement process. Right now, the agent receives the CV, reviews and analyzes the application, evaluates the candidate, prepare a short summary based on the CV, and sends the information directly to the managers. After the manager accepts the candidate, the HR employees only needs to schedule the meeting. And honestly, at the beginning, there was some resistance and a lack of trust in the new solution. I said that some managers were worried about the quality of the AI evaluation and where the agent would really understand what kind of candidates they were looking for. But very quickly, managers realized that the agent was actually sending them candidates' profiles that matched their expectation. And as a result, managers no longer waste time on manual CV selection. They can conduct more requirement meeting than before and hire new employees faster. The whole cooperation process became cleaner and faster. And the most important thing I want to say today is that the AI agent support HR. It does not replace HR. The final decision is still made by a human. But after several months of using agent, I can say only one thing: it works. It really works. Right now, we're working with agent for about 4 months. So yeah. And I also want to share you with the results. The first and probably the most important result for us was that we are now able to analyze all the application get. The AI agent review every single CV, which means that no candidate is ignored, even when we receive a very large number of applications. The second result was it accelerating the recruitment process at all by 3 times. The agent took over the most time-consuming part of the work, like CV analysis, like engineering candidate selection, and reducing overall recruitment time. Thanks to automated CV analysis, we choose the best candidates much faster and move the recruitment interviews more quickly. And finally, in the first quarter, we hired 27 freight forwarders with a new process with the agent. And this automation allows the HR team to focus more on interviews and communication with candidates instead of manual CV screening, which made the entire requirement process much more effective. So yeah, I think it's all. Thank you for your attention.
Lovely. Thank you, Anatol. I think we have all been there when we're not able to give every applicant as much time and attention as we would like. So this is not just HR recruitment, not just an example for people in HR recruitment, but anybody who does recruiting, would probably like to have a tool like this. Again, thanks, Anatol. Any questions to Anatol, please put them in the Q&A. We will circle back to them. There is also a link on the chat to get our AI automation playbook. If you haven't already, go and give it a try. Now, our final speaker is Daiva Gaudutė, Process Automation Manager at Ignitis, with a session on automating the monitoring of newly issued state legal acts. So, like, legal act monitoring doesn't exactly scream, Friday night entertainment, but this is exactly why this is a great example of AI agents and RPA robots working together on a problem that's very tedious when done by people. And Daiva's team hit up to 95% classification accuracy, and she will walk us through the architectural choices, the model selection decisions, and crucially, the lessons learned, which is part of the project where the real truth tends to come out. So, Daiva, please take it away.
Hello, everyone. I suppose my screen is visible. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So today I will tell you about the first agentic automation that was built by my team. As Andrzej already told, the solution combines RPA robots and an AI agent. But to start, I would like to briefly introduce the organization that I work for, Ignitis Group. We are an integrated energy group focused on renewables with a clear ambition to create a 100% green and secure energy ecosystem. And today, Ignitis Group is the largest publicly listed organization in the Baltic states, comprising more than 50 companies operating across the Baltics, Poland, and Finland. Our activities cover the entire energy value chain, from green electricity generation, energy distribution and supply, and the development of energy smart solutions. The organization, the company that I represent, Ignitis GBS, is responsible for a wide variety of group supportive functions, including public procurement, accounting, personal administration, IT maintenance and development, and other services, including legal services. So in total, Ignitis Group employs around 4,800 employees worldwide, and operating at such scale and complexity drives us to continuously look for efficient and smart solutions, which is exactly what today's session is all about. So the first process where we applied both RPA and AI agent technologies was legal act monitoring process. This process helps us to ensure regulatory compliance and risk mitigation across the whole group. As a state-owned energy group operating across a broad spectrum of energy-related activities and implementing projects of strategic national importance, we must be able to react quickly and accurately to any changes in the regulatory and legal environment. That is why every day legal acts and draft regulations are monitored from 2 public websites. The scope of monitoring covers 26 areas of law, generating approximately 1,400 cases per month. And the process includes daily retrieval of newly issued regulations and draft legal acts from public websites that may impact our future operations, classification of legal acts by subject area, and the timely distribution of relevant information to responsible persons. This process is actually very important for preventing legal, regulatory, reputational, and operational risks. The process takes around 2 hours per day of manual work and is highly dependent on human effort. Before we introduced an AI agent into this process, it was actually already partially automated, but still heavily dependent on manual work. An Excel macro-based solution with an integrated responsibility matrix linking each legal domain with a specific employee was used to automatically distribute the information, the newly issued information about legal acts. However, the lawyers still had to perform the most time-consuming and critical part of the process. They still needed to retrieve, read legal acts, assess their relevance, and assign them to legal domains. Therefore, we decided not only to automate this part of the process, but to simplify the process itself. A group-wide SharePoint list was introduced through a group intranet, allowing employees to self-subscribe to any relevant legal domain. So newly issued relevant legal information became easily accessible across the entire organization, not limited to predefined and flexible list of recipients that was included in an Excel-based macro solution. Also, before the proof of concept of agentic automation, we asked responsible legal professionals to review the legal areas that are relevant for our business and create very detailed descriptions for each relevant legal domain. These updated legal areas and their descriptions later will be used as a classification context for an AI agent. So after the process transformation at the end of 2025, together with Office Samurai, we started a UiPath agentic automation proof of concept. And the POC was designed to test whether UiPath AI agents combined with robotic process automation can reliably replace a manual, repetitive, and time-intensive process. For this POC, we defined a few clear success criteria to help us objectively evaluate the final results. So the first requirement was technical suitability. We needed to ensure that UiPath Agent Builder platform fits into our existing RPA IT architecture, and that the solution is stable and scalable. The second criteria was, of course, accuracy. The goal was to build an agent that can reliably categorize items using predefined categories. For this POC to be considered successful, we set a benchmark of 90% accuracy rate. And finally, we focused on business value validation beyond the technical aspects. It was important to confirm that agentic automation delivers measurable time-saving benefits. Only if all these three criteria are met, we can confidently say that the POC delivers both technical feasibility and real business impact. So what we built, we created an AI agent-based solution that fully automates the most time-consuming part of the process, legal act reading and categorization. So the process starts with on-premises RPA robot that collects legal acts from public sources and extracts the most relevant context from the beginning of each legal document, limited to 3,000 characters. This is done due to reduce the usage of AI tokens and to reduce the costs, of course, of the final agentic automation solution. This information is sent through HTTP requests to a cloud-based AI agent, which categorizes legal documents according to a predefined list of legal areas aligned with Ignitis Group business context. The cloud agent uses GPT 4.1 language model. And after the categorization is completed, legal categories are then passed to the second on-premises robot, which groups and distributes legal documents according to subscriptions stored in a SharePoint list. So as a result, manual reading and the categorization of laws are eliminated. Operational effort is reduced and legal information is distributed faster and more reliably across the organization. In order to create a stable and accurate agentic automation, we did a lot of testing. We created a realistic evaluation set of 130 legal documents covering all 26 legal categories, including edge cases with no applicable category. This data set reflected the real production volumes and document complexity, ensuring, of course, meaningful results. During the testing, we compared two different input methods, web links and extracted text. Both actually achieved similar accuracy, but the text-based approach appeared to be more stable and was selected for production. Also, we tested different input lengths. From 3,000 to 9,000 characters extracted from the beginning of each legal document. But the testing showed that no significant accuracy showed no significant accuracy differences. So we standardized on 3,000 characters to optimize performance and cost. After comparing several language models, GPT 4.1 delivered the best balance between accuracy and reliability. And yes, an older GPT version returned more stable results, which means that newer is not always better. So with GPT 4.1, 3,000 characters input and yes, 3,000 character input and zero temperature setting, which means that the same input will produce the same output. The agent achieved 93% of accuracy rate, increasing even to up to 95 when legally valid multi-category cases were considered. So, achievements and lessons learned. Integration between platforms. We successfully connected on-premises RPA robots with cloud-based agent using simple HTTP request, and this proved that that agentic automation can be integrated into our existing enterprise environment without major architectural changes. The second achievement, of course, excellent agent scores between 93 to 95%. context grounding. Proper preparation of context grounding data turned out to be essential. And finally, evaluation set. A high quality and realistic evaluation set allowed us to measure improvements objectively and validate decisions faster and build confidence in the agent's real-world performance. So this was a story about our first agentic automation, which was not that difficult, but we're very proud of it. And those lessons learned we're already applying to another projects where AI agents are introduced in the existing RPA workflows. So I hope that it was useful to hear about our experience, and I wish you success in your future agentic automations. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Daiva. I think this case kind of shows us that it often makes sense with AI automation to dig deeper than the usual ideas, right? Because legal acts is not an obvious choice for automation. It's usually not the first place that companies look into, but clearly looking at this use case, we see that it makes sense. Let's move to the Q&A. If you have been holding onto a question, this is the moment to drop it in the Q&A panel. We already have a few. Let's maybe start with the first one that was put in here during Dominik's speech. Does that mean that an automation that only reads and formats information is not an agentic automation, even though it uses AI capabilities to understand the information? Dominik, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question, and it also shows that we have a huge mix-up of definitions right now on the market. So basically, if you try to Google it or read some sources, and you can even, because I'm watching even right now on some definitions created by Bing or Google. The main difference is that this what we called AI assistants, they can perceive and reason, right? They are grounded in your knowledge, but the main difference is that they are not acting, right? Those solutions don't do any actions in your system. That's why we don't call this agentic automation, and we prefer to use AI assistants to distinguish them.
Yeah, but this is how we talk about this at Office Samurai, because we do want to separate AI assistants from AI agents, especially that a lot of companies would, just take Copilot Studio, put a few Word documents in it, and they will say that they have agentic automation, and we kind of think that it requires a bit of distinction, but there is no one way of talking about this on the market. So different people will say agentic and will understand different things. So this is something for sure for everyone to watch out for, because you have to make sure what somebody says when they say AI agent or AI assistant. Let's take the next one from Andreas. Can you say something about the additional effort involved in developing AI agents in comparison to traditional RPA development work? Anatol, Daiva, any comments from your side? Yeah.
I can say that development requires additional work around prompt. You need to do more testing and responsive validation. And I would say the traditional RPA process is more predictable than agent. So in this case, it depends of how you write your prompt. And in our case, we use it one big prompt and it's work. Maybe I would say it's benefits from because we're using UiPath and we're using AI agents units. So we use it only one AI agent at all. So for all the big prompt, because I will say if you're using another model, you will use tokens, and I will show that if we use it another model, we will use maybe 3 tokens per one CV. So yeah, I will say that the most different between traditional RPA and agent it's prompt engineering and testing and response validation. Thank you.
Daiva, you want to chip in?
Yes, I will totally agree with Anatol. And as I mentioned in my presentation, the context grounding is very important, and a lot of testing and refining prompts. So yes, this is the additional effort that is needed for creating the agents.
Yeah, and this is our experience too, that testing makes a bigger chunk of the project than in classical RPA projects, just because with classical development, it's easier to know what will be the result of whatever the automation is doing. And so this makes it extremely important to have a good framework for testing, because you don't want to do those tests manually, right? You don't want to kind of get people to talk to a chatbot over and over and over after every change you're making. So you have to either use a tool that has a framework for testing, or to build a framework for testing that will allow you to go through all those iterations with proper testing before you put something new in the production environment. Okay, lovely, thank you. And then we have kind of 2 questions, but it's one from Raymond's. So the question is around why use agentic, I understand in this case UiPath agentic for those projects, instead of just having an RPA process that is calling an LLM. I understand through an API. Why go with agents? Anatol, Daiva, you want to comment on that?
Yeah. So actually, we do use robots in this process. So the robots are responsible for sending CVs. To changing status and handling all the operation workflow, but it's the AI agent are embedded inside the overall process, and it's work with cooperate with agent. So yeah, we have robots, so for sure. And I will add, as I said before, for us it's financial is good because we're using only one agent unit, and we're using this big prompt in UiPath. So yeah, thank you.
Sure. Daiva, anything from your side on this?
I don't have anything to add here. Yeah.
Okay. I will maybe add my perspective on this, because with basically any kind of automation, you can do it in multiple different ways. And with generative AI is the same thing. You can use something like an UiPath agent. You can have a robot to call an LLM with a proper prompt and the data. You could write everything just in Python and run it somehow, right? In the end, the choice of the stack that you're going to be using is affected by a few things. The first and the most important, especially in large organizations, is what can I use, right? What has been approved by my security? And if you do not have your private instance of an LLM, for a lot of companies that are already using a big platform like UiPath, it's the easiest way, because this is a platform where you already have all the security, all of those things. You have already gone through that. So it may be the easiest thing to do, right? And then you have other questions of how fast can I develop it with different tools, right? How much work is it going to take me? Because as we talked about testing, if you use a platform, if you use, say, in UiPath, you use Agentic, you already have the mechanisms for testing. You upload your tests, you can run them anytime you want. You can do the same thing with robots calling an LLM, but then you need to build your own framework for testing. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea. Absolutely, if you are going to be doing a lot of projects like this, maybe this is where you should go. So in the end, it is about what's allowed, what is what will give you the results the fastest, what's the cost going to be. So all of those things you take into account, and then you choose the technology. But I do agree with Raimond, the same thing could be achieved having robots or just pure code calling an LLM. And I think in both of those cases. Any other questions? Last call. Okay, lovely. So thank you to our speakers for sharing their experience. Thank you to UiPath for partnering with us on the event. And most importantly, thank you all for joining us. If you would like to continue the conversation, follow up with Office Samurai, or reach out to any of today's presenters directly, be sure to check out our AI automation playbook if you haven't already. And I wish you all the best in your AI automation efforts. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Matane.